Hello again, and welcome back to Year 5 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is Week 18 as we end 2024 and begin 2025. As we begin this new year, we're going to continue for one more week to pause from our normal narrative readings and return once again to the book of Proverbs. This book, written for the most part by a father seeking to provide good guidance to his son, and then by extension to all of us, with additions provided from the wise men of later generations. This book directs us to walk the narrow path of faithfulness, avoiding the common temptations, and holding fast to the Lord in all things. It is a good way to begin the new year, remembering that we are called indeed to live in a manner that is set apart from the brokenness of the world, and that this life to which we are called is truly blessed. So this is Proverbs chapter 26. Like snow in summer or rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. Like a sparrow in its flitting, like a swallow in its flying, an undeserved curse goes nowhere. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the back of fools. Do not answer fools according to their folly, or you will be a fool yourself. Answer fools according to their folly, or they will be wise in their own eyes. It is like cutting off one's foot and drinking down violence to send a message by a fool. The legs of a disabled person hang limp. So does a proverb in the mouth of a fool. It is like binding a stone in a sling to give honor to a fool. Like a thorn bush brandished by the hand of a drunkard, so is a proverb in the mouth of a fool. Like an archer who wounds everybody is one who hires a passing fool or a drunkard. Like a dog that returns to its vomit is a fool who reverts to his folly. Do you see persons who are wise in their own eyes? There is more hope for fools than for them. The lazy person says, "There is a lion in the road, there is a lion in the streets." As a door turns on its hinges, so does a lazy person in bed. The lazy person buries a hand in the dish and is too tired to bring it back to the mouth. The lazy person is wiser in self-esteem than 7 who can answer discreetly. Like somebody who takes a passing dog by the ears, so is one who meddles in the quarrel of another. Like a maniac who shoots deadly firebrands and arrows, so is one who deceives a neighbor and says, "I am only joking." For lack of wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no whisperer, quarreling ceases. As charcoal is to hot embers and wood to fire, so is a quarrelsome person for kindling strife. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body. Like the glaze covering an earthen vessel, so are smooth lips with an evil heart. An enemy dissembles in speaking while harboring deceit within. When an enemy speaks graciously, do not believe it, for there are 7 abominations concealed within. Though hatred is covered with guile, the enemy's wickedness will be exposed in the assembly. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will come back on the one who starts it rolling. A lying tongue hates its victims, and a flattering mouth works ruin. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. Let another praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips. A stone is heavy, and sand is weighty, but a fool's provocation is heavier than both. Wrath is cruel, anger is overwhelming, but who is able to stand before jealousy? Better is open rebuke than hidden love. Well meant are the wounds a friend inflicts, but profuse are the kisses of an enemy. The sated appetite spurns honey, but to a ravenous appetite even the bitter is sweet. Like a bird that strays from its nest, so is one who strays from home. Perfume and incense make the heart glad, but the soul is torn by trouble. Do not forsake your friend or the friend of your parent. Do not go to the house of your kindred in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor who is nearby than kindred who are far away. Be wise, my child, and make my heart glad, so that I may answer whoever reproaches me. The clever see danger and hide, but the simple go on and suffer for it. Take the garment of one who has given surety for a stranger, Seize the pledge given as surety for foreigners. Whoever blesses a neighbor with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, will be counted as cursing. A continual dripping on a rainy day and a contentious wife are alike. To restrain her is to restrain the wind, or to grasp oil in the right hand. Iron sharpens iron, and one person sharpens the wits of another. Anyone who tends a fig tree will eat its fruit, and anyone who takes care of a master will be honored. Just as water reflects the face, so one human heart reflects another. Sheol and Abaddon are never satisfied, and human eyes are never satisfied. The crucible is for silver, and the furnace is for gold. So a person is tested by being praised. Crush a fool in a mortar with a pestle, along with crushed grain, but the folly will not be driven out. Know well the condition of your flocks, and give attention to your herds, for riches do not last forever, nor a crown for all generations. When the grass is gone, and new growth appears, and the herbage of the mountains is gathered, the lambs will provide your clothing, and the goats the price of a field. There will be enough goat's milk for your food, for the food of your household, and nourishment for your servant girls. Okay, so as we read this, of course, a lot of this is framed in words that seem very, very foreign and distant from us. But some of these things are, if we pay attention to them, all of these are simply observations about reality. There is less here about faithfulness, as we said at the beginning. There's less here overtly about living the life that is seeking always after God. These are simply warnings about how things go wrong, how they may or might or will go wrong. So the first of our two chapters, for instance, is taken up with longer warnings about fools, about lazy people, about meddlers, about whisperers, and about dissemblers. I want to point one thing out. We spend the first 12 verses talking about foolish people, how dangerous they are, and in verse 4 and verse 5 we get, do not answer fools according to their folly, or you'll be a fool yourself, but also answer fools according to their folly, or they will be wise in their own eyes. So it's like you cannot succeed. Either way you try to correct fools, it's going to go badly. So having talked all about fools, we think, oh, he's really ragging on fools. And then in verse 12, we get the twist. Do you see persons who are wise in their own eyes? There's more hope for fools than there is for them. So all of this is really just given to explaining that the real fool is the one who thinks he knows something, the one who trusts himself too strongly, who is wise in his own eyes. And this we know to be true. I only today heard a sad story about a wealthy man of about 100 years ago, who had inherited money and had a good job and was one of the wealthier men in his city, worked very, very hard, and was very, very successful. And then he decided, in his success, he wanted to start a car company because everyone else was doing it. And he'd been successful in everything else. He was wealthy. His wife died prematurely. He was giving himself all the way into all these things. And of course, there's a lot more, I'm sure, going on. But ultimately, when things weren't going well with the car company, he liquidated all his other assets and put everything into this thing because his prior experience was that if he gave something his all, he would succeed. He had become convinced of his own success, of his own wealth, of his own untouchability, and as a consequence, he lost everything and died very soon after. It's easy to look at this and say, oh, well, that would never happen to me. But I think we all do this. The successes that we have from when we are attentive, when we recognize we don't know anything, when we are doing our best and watching carefully for all the things that will go badly because we know we don't know what we're doing. After some success, we become complacent. We begin to trust ourselves too much, and 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 at that point, we are a greater fool than the fool that is described here. So there's a reason that the Christian is called to humility and repentance, because this is the truth of our nature, the truth of our relationship with God, and the only path that is safe. So anyway, God bless you all. Next week we'll get back to our normal readings, but for now, God bless you. We'll see you shortly for day 2.